Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Political Job Interview, where I interview candidates running for election. I'm Vincenzo Calla, the host, and today I take on the role as the boss, giving a job interview to today's candidate, Oonagh Fitzgerald. Oonagh is running for election for Ottawa City Council as a candidate for Ward 15, Kitchissippi. Thank you, Oonagh, for your time, and thanks for joining me today.
Thanks very much, Vincenzo.
It's great to have you, and let's get this job interview started now. As with any good job interview, I'm going to start off with an opportunity to learn more about Oonagh. So first question, Oonagh, is can you tell me a bit about yourself and your story?
Sure, I'd be delighted to. So I came to Canada as a child with my parents. We moved to Stratford, Ontario, where I went to high school. I went to university at York University and studied fine arts. And after a year in a dance company, a modern dance company, I decided to do law. And after I completed my law degree, I moved to Ottawa and have worked for the Federal Public Service for many years. I worked at the Law Reform Commission of Canada, the Immigration Appeal Board, the Competition Bureau, Department of Justice. I was lead counsel at Human Resources Development Canada, at National Defence and the Canadian Forces, and at Privy Council Office. And then I became the National Security Coordinator at the Department of Justice. And after many years there, I decided to join an international think tank, the Center for International Governance Innovation, where I had the opportunity to lead an international law research program for 6 years and spend a lot of time working on issues of climate change, economic inclusion, building an innovation economy, those types of issues, as well as Indigenous people's rights.
So, all that experience, what made you decide to run for this position? Why municipal politics and why councillor?
Well, I have never run for a political job before. I've spent my entire life nonpartisan. And the appeal of running for councillor is that you can create your own platform and you don't have to be aligned with a particular party. I feel that my experience of all these important issues around sustainable development needs to be applied at the local level. And at this time, I really want to bring that experience that I had at the international, national, and provincial level to our local community to help citizens of Ottawa to really take part in addressing climate change, in economic inequality that exists, and also issues of exclusion in our society, so that we can build a better community, and also to build an innovative and vibrant city and address the challenges of affordability.
So let's take a bit of time to talk about this job and what you're bringing to it. So I want to ask, what experience do you bring to this job?
So as I mentioned, I'm a lawyer, and in many of those jobs where I was acting as a leader and a lawyer serving big organizations, and this was not just in the Federal Public Service and the think tank I mentioned, but also with not-for-profit organizations that where I served on the board. What I contributed is that the ability to really try to make good decisions, to do strategic planning, to determine what exactly our organization needs to do, then to make a plan to do that, execute it, and then review how we're doing it and adjust our course if we're off track, and also be accountable to our stakeholders so that we can report to them and tell them that what we're doing, we can get their feedback, and we can again adjust course as needed. I feel that at City Council over the last few years, that issue of accountability and transparency has been lacking. There's been poor governance of some major contracts, such as the LRT. And it'll be really beneficial to have somebody on council who's really ready to ask the tough questions when we're making big decisions, and demand that we do review decisions and make better ones if there's something wrong with them or if circumstances have changed significantly. On this issue of affordability, we're all feeling that pinch in this community, some much more than others. And so the issue of how the city council spends the money that comes in from taxpayers is very important to everybody in this community. And that means we have to be very careful how we spend money. We have to use it wisely. We have to be making decisions that will make this a better city overall.
And I want to ask you on that note, what sets you apart from all of the other candidates who are running in this ward?
I think this emphasis on good governance and accountability is an important part of what sets me apart. It's, as I say, it's a strong part of my core, and I will help the other councillors with it. For example, there's this issue that is concerns a lot of people on council, and that is about whether or not councillors should accept donations from developers. This is an issue that's easy for a lawyer. I know that if I was to accept donations from developers, that would give the impression that I have that I will be influenced by them and I will not be able to make fair decisions on behalf of residents. I really want to put the focus. My campaign is really focused on speaking for residents, taking their concerns forward and representing them at council. And I want to make sure that all the other councillors are also thinking in this way, as opposed to being in the pocket of developers. That's really problematic. And another issue that I've noticed is that there's a tendency, despite the fact we can be nonpartisan on city council, there's a tendency to align with parties. And this can be problematic because it makes it less of a discussion, a roundtable discussion where there can be win-wins for everybody. It's more of a zero-sum type of discussion where you either win it or you lose it. And this has led, we see the consequences of that throughout the ward, throughout Kitchissippi ward, where a lot of decisions seem to be thrust upon the ward that do not benefit the ward at all. And I want to see council working together so that we're thinking about the whole city and we're not divided on partisan lines. We're working together with a common vision. And that sense of a common vision is something that I will definitely bring forward to try and encourage all councillors to work together to figure out what are the issues where we really do share common interests. And I certainly hear from residents as I go door to door, there's a great deal of concern about climate change, about protecting the trees and parks of our area. There's concern that development is out of control, that it's destroying neighborhoods as opposed to enhancing them, making them richer. We need to deal with all these issues, and that's what I would undertake to do as councillor.
Part of serving as an elected official is serving those people who elect you. So a few questions now about how you want to serve the people. What's something that the people you would like to serve, the people of Kitchissippi need, that you want to get done if you are elected?
There's so many things. There's a really long list of things that we need to do, Vincenzo, and I'll try to go through some of them. So I've already mentioned the issue of climate action. I hear this from people, just about everybody that I speak to, regardless of age, or income level. Climate change is a concern for people, but it's often expressed in different ways, depending on where the person comes from. But all people are really desiring that we do increase the shade in the city, that we hang on to our parks, that we enhance biodiversity by protecting the waters of the Ottawa River and the banks of the river, that we keep our, the experimental farm. There's a lot of concern about the trees that are going down there, and that we have a real plan so that when we take on things that we think are going to address climate change, that we don't just put one item out and then counteract it with another item that is actually destructive of climate action. We have to have a coherent plan. And I'm going to ensure that we do develop that coherent plan, that we hold ourselves to account for it, and we move it forward. And we provide opportunities for all residents to participate in it, because people want to be empowered to take action on climate. Now, one issue that's somewhat related to climate is, of course, the LRT. It's a great initiative to increase use of public transit, but we've seen so many problems with it, and the inquiry has pointed out all the governance challenges. So what I promise is to really get the LRT under control. That means reviewing the contracts, reviewing the system of oversight, correcting the problems that we have, and ensuring the reliability of the service. We also have to review the economic forecasts that we have for the LRT, because the economy has changed somewhat. The behavior of residents has changed somewhat, with a lot of people working at home. We have to reconsider what is the best way to encourage use of the LRT, and that includes considering different costing models for it. Another thing I would like to bring forward for the residents, because I hear so much about it, a lot of concern about development and development being out of control. Having streets turned upside down with great big machines blocking traffic, very inconsiderate development and construction work everywhere. What I would like to see is that City Hall requires a standard of corporate, social, and environmental responsibility from all companies doing business with the city, and that we develop a system of impact and benefit agreements between developers and local communities to ensure that that when intensification happens, that the concerns of local communities are taken into account, and that the intensification does not impair, but instead enhances the social and environmental well-being of neighborhoods. Right now, it seems like it is, again, zero-sum or detrimental to neighborhoods. People are very concerned that with increased populations, there will be need for more services, more roads, more parking, etc. And this isn't being dealt with effectively. What we really need to be doing is building that 15-minute city. So ensuring that there's shops in there are grocery stores available for all these people, that there are pharmacies available, that there are dog parks. There's so many people who have dogs post-pandemic, and these poor dogs need places to play that are separate from where children play. We need both parks for children, parks for dogs. And all of this could be part of the deal as we intensify. We could make this into a more vibrant, innovative city instead of a rather ugly disaster. I can think of lots of places around the world we can look at where cities have grown without environmental and social controls, and they lead to a lot of unhappiness and also poor quality of life for the citizens. So there's a lot we could do with this idea of benefit to impact agreements. We need to make sure that development is always inclusive, that we're not creating poor neighborhoods and rich neighborhoods. We have to have people living together so that we build a cohesive society. And that's an important part of that relationship with developers. Finally, I mentioned before this issue of pledging to be nonpartisan. I think that would be great if we can get councillors to pledge to do that, to pledge to not take donations from developers and their families, and to pledge to work together to find common ground so that we can build a vision together. This is extremely important for actually making any progress on sustainable development in this community. Right now, if you look at the results across Kitchissippi and across the city, we see an urban and rural Ottawa that is divided and makes no sense together. Obviously, people in the far reaches, outer reaches of the city need to drive in because there isn't adequate transit for them, public transit for them, and this creates tremendous congestion in the inner city. We need to think of a plan that actually takes into account everybody in the city, lets them all participate in addressing climate and addressing all the other ideas that they want to make a beautiful, innovative, inclusive city. This includes including more innovative businesses that are promoting the circular economy or clean energy. We could be doing a lot to promote that at council. The city needs a vibrant economic economy in general in order to thrive and respond to a changing world. And I guess the other aspect of that would be that we don't need to be a small town. We could be a world-class city. And to do that, we can't always saying it's not possible. We have to say it is possible. We have to have a vision and we have to work together on that vision as opposed to against each other.
So finally, I wanted to ask you, what is one accomplishment that you have achieved that demonstrates why you'll be a good elected official if the people choose you?
Well, there are many times that I have used multi-stakeholder processes to achieve, to find solutions to solve very complex issues. And I've had to do this when I worked in the federal public service, and also when I was working at the Center for International Governance Innovation. You often need to call in experts, people with very divergent views on topics. You have to hear many points of view in order to find solutions. You've got to give a lot of room for consultation because no one individual has all the answers. And that's something that I really do understand, and I really appreciate what I can learn from working with other people. So I have had that experience very successfully many, many times, accomplishing major projects by working together with other people, getting the best out of them, they getting the best out of me. And as a result, we can achieve great success together. And that's what I hope to bring to City Council.
Thank you, Oonagh, so much for your time today. It was great having you, and I'm sure the viewers have really enjoyed hearing what you have to offer to them. Election day is October 24th, 2022, and if you really liked hearing what Oonagh Fitzgerald had to say and live in Ward 15, Kitchissippi, you have the opportunity to vote for her on Election Day. Check with your local election officials for more details. To stay updated, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at VCProtections25. Check out my website, VincenzoCalla.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, and choose to get notifications here on YouTube. The political job interview is a VCalla production. So until the next video, I'm Vincenzo Calla, signing out.